And next we have Sarah Fischer, who is the Director of Department of Operational Excellence at Inland Imaging, and she will be talking about their participation in the National Mammography Database.
Good afternoon. We were so excited when ACR started coming out with all of these different databases, and I had several physicians that were our mammographer radiologists that were amazing and had a real fire in their belly for coming into one of the databases. So we started with what we felt was our low-hanging fruit and participating in the NMD. So what we did when we first started is we defined what our quality was. And I come from an IT background, and then I went into quality and process improvement. So one of the things that we hear over and over is that IT is going to be the silver bullet, and IT is going to make our lives so much better. And that might be this year, and it might be next year, and it might be several years down the road. So what we came up with was this quality-defined philosophy of producing the best results throughout the organization by focusing on the needs of the patient, empowering every physician with correct and timely information, and optimizing existing technology in the process. So with that, we were able to say, okay, what do we have now? How can we optimize it? And how can we use the ACR in order to make us better? So participating in NMD was very much quality driven. It was driven by our quality committee. We have 9 radiologists that sit on that quality committee, and one of them is mammography. We have one of the things that we were looking at was excellent patient care and outcomes. The culture of our mammography subspecialty, understanding our business and where we are at. One of the things when I came into this position 5 years ago was everyone said, stay away from mammography. They don't have good data. So I ran away from mammography for a while, but the radiologist within that subspecialty was just kept asking for my assistance. And so we sat together and we said they were told they had bad data, and they thought they had bad data. So that was really one of the keys to joining with ACR, is saying, okay, really, do we have that bad of data, or is this just something that we perceive? And then moving our company from good to great. We know we're good, but how great are we? And we wanted to make sure that we were some of the greatest in the country. And then how do we compare nationwide, group, and individually? The drivers of participation, obviously our first driver was excellence in quality patient care. And then we were obviously looking at our clean data, and we didn't feel like we had it at the time. Then we wanted to make sure and look at internal versus external. What was the group quality? What was the radiologist quality? And then trending and continuous improvement. And so those were our drivers for getting into the NMD. Our NMD experience, the ACR staff, extraordinarily helpful. Lou Meyer, I can't say enough about him. He became my best friend over the phone and via email quite quickly. We didn't have any idea what we were doing. And our staff was not real sure in IT what we were doing. It was a new venture. So we became best friends with Lou quite quickly. The data sets were not difficult at all to define. We got the data sets. We were able to go through those quite quickly and look at what was needed and be able to define them in a way that ACR could accept them. The questions were always promptly answered. We never had to wait. Very rarely did I have to leave a message. I always got a friendly voice on the other end of the phone. So that has always amazed me that ACR is so busy and they can always answer the phone. It's just, I never have to leave a message. It's amazing. Data and graphs were easy to read and very self-explanatory. If you read what they give you up front, they have a couple of pages up front that tell you exactly what the graphs say. If you go through that information, then you have absolutely no problem interpreting those graphs that they give you. The cons, vendor participation. We had a vendor that was not participating at the time, so when we first started participating, it was very clunky on our end. ACR was able to receive pretty much anything that we gave them if it was in the right fields, but we really wanted to make it automated, and at the time it wasn't when we first started. They began to participate, which made our life much easier. And then internal IT staff, really explaining to them what we needed, explaining to them how we needed to cooperate with the ACR, and then having them understand that required data sets. They're very used to the HL7, they're very used to all this other information, and we had to get them used to the data sets that they were going to be sending to ACR. The unexpected outcomes was the vast data and going beyond the radiologists. And that was when we first were looking at this, we wanted to look at how many callbacks did you have? What is the comparison from one radiologist to another? What does our group look like? And we were very focused internally. The data, though, that we are getting back by the patients and what we will be able to do with this information later is, and what we would like to do is look at the clusters throughout the United States and see, is our community one of those clusters that is one of the parts of the United States that does have a cluster. We feel that we do, and with this data that we are getting from ACR, we feel that we are going to be able to identify that, and then where do we go from there? The nationwide quality forums such as this, I don't know about any of you, but I was so excited to come here because there are so many great minds that come together and you can sit and talk about your experiences and your best practices. It's one of those things that even looking for the quality meetings in February that ACR has, you get so excited because you can pass back this information. When I first came into this position, passing information back and forth to each other 5 years ago, it was business intelligence. So therefore, a lot of people did not want to pass on that information, share that information. And so the nationwide quality forums that this has created has become phenomenal. And then, of course, the last but not least, we were able to do some significant marketing off of how good we are. So the quality improvement on being world-class, and that's where I think that we all are reaching towards, is radiologist-centric improvements. We looked at that first and who were the outliers and what did we need to do with those individuals. That we need more education? Were they truly outliers? And what digging down into that data and understanding why they looked like outliers on the data. Was it lack of training, lack of tools, or lack of policy and procedures? We have a voice recognition system. We're very macroed. We have very standardized reporting within our mammography, and so we just needed to understand if those individuals that were outliers, did they need to know how to use our natural language processor better, or what were the causes of them being an outlier? Patient-centric improvements, we are looking at the regional cancer detection. That will, in talking to my Trey, that is going to be something that we're going to look at in the future. We need to get significantly more data in order to do that, but that's one of the things we're looking at. And then consistent improvement in detection and education. Granular detail review within our own group. Our group goes as soon as we've gotten to the point where everybody knows when this data is going to be ready, so then I start getting emails. Is my data in yet? Is my data in yet? And before they were like, I don't want to know about my data. And now they're asking for that data. So they are really looking at themselves. They're really looking at what do we look like as a group. Communicating and participating nationally is something to be able to. I mean, one of the reasons why we all join a database is so that we can compare nationally. Because if we compare against ourselves, we always look really good. It's kind of like looking in the mirror every morning and go, gosh, I look really great, right? And then you feel good about yourself and you go on with your day. But if you look at yourself nationally, then obviously you have to compare yourselves with some really good radiologists across the country, and you go, okay, do I stand up to them or do we need some improvement? So this has been a really great way to not just look in the mirror, but to look nationally. Data mining outside the normal data sets and really looking at talking to ACR and really saying, okay, what other things can we look at besides radiology, besides inside what this whole data set, how can we move beyond that? And ACR is so fabulous at looking beyond the norms. So it's been great to work with them. And then sharing business knowledge and breaking down the competitive barriers for patient care. That's one of the things in the Northwest that we have beyond hospitals, beyond, we've got Providence, we've got different community healthcare hospitals out there. It's been very difficult to share information, and we have broken down, a lot of the quality directors have broken down those barriers and really started sharing. What's interesting is radiologists have been doing this for years. They call each other all the time. It doesn't matter who they're working with. But then when you get down to the more business level, people are, I'm not going to share that. And a lot of that's been broken down. So I'm pretty excited to see what the next 5 years is going to bring for all of us. But the National Mammography Database has done an amazing amount for our group in looking at how we can get better. We have leveled off in the last 2 years. We had one very low outlier, one very high outlier, and now we're starting to see some leveling off because of some actions that have been taken. So not with the radiologists, but within education and really diving into that data. So it's a fabulous database to be participating in, and it gives you a ton of feedback, and the assistance that you get from ACR is fabulous as well. Does anyone have any questions?
We'll hold those just until the end.
Okay.